It's a stuttering Q&A time. I'm really excited about this. I got a lot of great questions in, and thank you guys so much for the incredible questions that you asked. How I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna split this up into part 1 and 2, just because of the amount of awesome questions that I got. And I just don't want to make this video too long. So let's get started. Question 1 is from Tanya. She asked, how has your stutter impacted your social life and friendships? That's a great question. I really try not to let my stuttering get in the way when I'm talking to my friends, or just when I'm out in general. When I was a lot younger, I hated my stuttering so much to where it would restrict me to who I would hang out with, who I would talk to. And now, I try to have confidence in my stuttering. I try to look people in the eye. I just really want to show them that, yeah, hey, I stutter and it's not a big deal. So once I've become more confident with my stuttering, it's really made me feel more comfortable in social situations, and especially when I'm out with my friends. Courtney has a couple great questions. She asked, what does it feel like to stutter? That is not an easy question to answer. Wow. So everybody stutters differently. It's not all going to be the same. Imagine trying to hold your breath and saying a word at the same time. That might give you a glimpse into what it's like to stutter sometimes, because it's very hard on our chest, on our throat, in our mouth. It's just, you feel locked up inside when you stutter. I'd recommend maybe just going out and try fake stuttering on your own sometime. I've actually challenged my friends to do that, and they said that it kind of helps them get at least a little bit of an insight on what it's like to stutter. What makes your stutter worse, and what makes it better? So interestingly enough, things that kind of make my stutter worse is when I'm with like really close friends, or like my family members. I feel that when I'm in like a really comfortable situation where I'm not really like, watching the way that I talk or anything, like I just don't care if I stutter. That's usually when I stutter worse. Now, what's really weird is that what helps my stuttering is actually when I'm like really stressed out or like really tired late at night. I've noticed that I stutter a lot less. Now, I'm not going to recommend you to try to stress yourself out to help your stuttering, but I just noticed that's what happens when I'm stressed out, is I guess I'm not focusing too much on my stuttering, so it kind of goes away a little bit. But, stuttering comes and goes in waves, and especially like, over weeks and months, like it fluctuates all the time. Should the person you're talking to look away when you stutter? Huge no. That's a huge red flag. If you're talking to someone who stutters and they start to stutter, please do not look away. It really makes this situation awkward, and it can make the speaker very uncomfortable. So one thing that I'd recommend is just to always keep eye contact and just try to let them have as much time as they need to speak. So last question from her is, my friend stutters, and sometimes when he's telling a story, he stops a lot and acts like he doesn't know the words he's looking for. So I move on in the conversation. But he got upset and said that it was part of his stutter. I'm confused on how that's part of the stutter. Was he trying to make me feel bad, or is that something he's not kidding about? He's not at all kidding about that. That is something that we actually deal with as people who stutter. Oftentimes we might be trying to look for easier words to say, or we're just trying to set ourselves up to not stutter as much. And that may often result in times of just where we kind of have a break in our sentence. And it's extremely common. It's not uncommon at all. So, I'd recommend just really try to give him as much time as he needs to speak. And, because you really never know what he's going through, in his mind. And it just may need that he needs a couple extra seconds to really get what he's trying to say. So Clara has a very interesting question. She asked, what is your opinion about the portrayal of stuttering in the film industry, and how do you think it has influenced people's perception of stuttering? So I've only seen one film that really talks about stuttering, and that was The King's Speech, which is a fantastic movie. I'd highly recommend it. They really hit stuttering pretty well on it, especially the parts when you can see him get really frustrated and angry by the fact that he's not improving on his fluency. I don't actually know of any other movies that talk about stuttering or have actors who stutter. So, if anyone knows of any, please comment them, because I'd love to check them out. Simply Anasifo, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, has a question. Oh gosh, I've gotten this question a few times. They're asking if I have a girlfriend. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say, no, I do not have a girlfriend. Do you have any tips on overcoming blocks? Yeah, so, one trick that I use a lot is I try to become more aware of what's going on in my mouth. So, for example, I try to monitor like where my tongue is in the mouth, and I try to have light articulatory touches, meaning that, sounds that I'm making are not forced, but they're kind of like rolling off my tongue. Like I'm just having light touches in my mouth. So, again, like I'm trying not to force the words out, but, I'm using techniques that will kind of help prolong words or have easy onsets. And, I can use that when I'm in the middle of a block, or often when I'm anticipating a block. I'll just kind of slow down my speech a little bit and work on those techniques that I know. What are your future plans professionally and personally? So I'm actually going to be going to graduate school this coming fall to pursue my master's degree in Speech-Language Pathology. And I'm really, really excited about this, because as a person who stutters, my life was changed by other people who stutter working as speech pathologists. So I want to have that chance to give back and try to help other people, not only who stutter, but also those who have communication disorders. And personally, I guess, I don't know, I'd like to meet a nice girl sometime and, get married in the next 10 years, but who doesn't? So overall, I'm just really focused on my career right now, and I'm trying to set myself up for a good future. Ooh, I love this question. So SZO says, hi, I'm a person who stutters, and I'm currently studying a speech-language pathology degree. So first, let me tell you that you're a really great inspiration for me, and second, I really want to achieve in this career, but some people have told me that I need to be fluent to be a good SLP, and that hurts a lot. Anyway, my question is, how was your experience in the beginning of your career, and what advices would you give me? First off, I just want to say I am incredibly proud, and I really love when people who stutter go into the field of speech pathology. So huge respect, huge props to you. My advice is that try to get involved as much as you can. That's really helped me while going through my major. I was the vice president of our Untitled Chapter. I was also involved in other clubs, and I studied so much for my classes. I mean, I spent a lot of my free time doing that. So it's a little tricky being a person who stutters and a speech pathologist, because there are times when, like, you will kind of have to model what fluency looks like. And that's hard because you will have to work on your own fluency a little bit sometimes. What I've noticed is that when I'm working with, younger kids in specific, they might not understand me a lot if I'm stuttering. So what I try to do is that when I'm around them, I will try to just reduce my rate of speech. I'll just, prolong my words. I try to make myself as fluent as I can. And that's hard, and it's not going to work all the time. But, you have to realize that, you're doing this because you want to change lives. And as long as you can get your ideas across and really, let your clients know that you're there for them, that's going to be huge. So Selena asked, how did you study for the GRE, and do you plan on going to medical school after you get your master's? So for those of you who don't know, the GRE is the graduate record examination or something. It's pretty much the exam that you take to go into grad school. It's kind of like the ACTs or the SATs of college. So I studied so much for the GRE. I used this incredible textbook called Cracking the GRE. It was the 2019 edition by the Princeton Review. It came with like 4 practice exams, and it had a lot of great practice questions in it. And ultimately, one thing that it helped me with a lot was the math part of the GRE, because that's one that I really struggled with, and I really broke it down in simple terms, and I loved that. And I actually got a great score in the math just because of that. So cracking the GRE. Also Magoosh. My classmates use that a lot. I did a little bit, not as much, but Magoosh has a lot of great practice questions, and they also have a lot of like online video tutorials and on like math and reading, writing, whatever. So it's a good resource as well. I don't plan to actually go to medical school, though I do want to get my PhD. I think that would be incredible. I'm really interested in research, and I want to contribute more to the field. So, if I can do more research on stuttering, I think that would be incredible. All right, last couple questions. When did you start getting interested in speaking publicly and getting in front of the camera? So, I made my first YouTube video about 2 to 3 years ago, and it was actually just meant for like my Facebook friends to see, like, what I went through as a kid, and I wanted to explain my life as a person who stutters. And that kind of sparked a lot of interest, because I started getting a lot of comments, and people all over the world would reach out to me. And, I was extremely shocked by that. And I thought that was just, the most incredible thing. So that's when I started really wanting to make more videos and sharing my experiences and my knowledge. Like I said, I've guest lectured about stuttering like 5 times. And it's really cool to have the ability to, use my life as an example of what it's like to be a person who stutters. Also, since you're becoming a speech pathologist, what was your experience with speech therapy? Anything memorable, or things that you would have done differently? Yeah, so I went to speech therapy for about 12 years growing up. I got pulled out of class every week, and I went to, play board games and read flashcards, and I honestly hated it so much. I really didn't want anything to do with speech therapy as a kid. It took working with a speech therapist who also stutters when I was in high school. He changed my life completely because instead of working on the fluency aspect of stuttering, we started working on the emotional aspects. And, I really got to see myself in a new way because I was more aware of my stuttering in outside situations, and I was just starting to become more accepting and confident with the fact that I stuttered. And I really wish that I had that experience when I was a younger kid, because that would have truly changed my life. So I'm glad that I had the experience in high school, because now as a college student, I feel like I'm living my true life and I'm not letting stuttering hold me back. So that is it with part one of the Q&A. We have a lot more questions to cover, so part two is going to be uploaded in probably about a week, so stay tuned.